welcome to my favorite park. Just ate some cacao nibs. Good Lord, look at these. Oh my gosh, that is ghastly. Too many hickeys, too much testosterone. Still haven't watched porn in 3 years. That's no surprise. That's no surprise. So let's talk about it. This is part 3 in the video series, how to stop watching porn. We already talked about all the benefits and how it's gonna fuck you up. So now you're convinced, and now you want to actually know how the hell to stop watching this thing. So it stops pulling you apart and ruining your confidence, ruining your health. Last video, we talked about getting that fire within. I want to introduce you guys to my new dog. His name is Goldie, and found him at PetSmart. He goes with me everywhere, most of the time. So you have to have that fire, that determination, where you're waging a battle, you're waging a war. If you're to that point, now you need to understand the fine mechanics of your brain and how lust works, because it's controlling you now. You don't know why, but you always end up going back to it. So what you really have to do is rebuild different energetic magnets inside you, to where you're constantly reminding yourself of the benefit of being chaste and retaining your seed. And you have to constantly have that image in your mind of what it's going to give you. You have to want that so badly and have an image of you being like this god, this superhero, that once you have this self-control and once you retain your seed for months and years, I really need to ingrain this into you, that you will feel like a superhuman version of yourself. Everything improves. There's not one area of your life that doesn't improve. Everything improves. Your looks, your energy, your charisma, your courage, your willpower, your cognition, your memory, your testosterone. And that's why we're talking about it. So, in other words, once you keep on feeding that energy of loving purity and loving self-control, and you have this reward image, it becomes like a magnet inside you. And all your energy will go towards fulfilling that reality and that desire. You're creating a new self-image. You're believing in yourself again. Don't underestimate this. This sounds like it's just some mental jujitsu. This is not mental jujitsu. This is how your energy flows. You have to have these things as foundations, and then you can have little techniques. So you want a little technique? I'll give you a little technique. Get an accountability partner. That's a great technique. Someone who knows that you'll be 100% honest if you fuck up. You're gonna tell them. That's huge. That's an external technique, okay? External techniques, internal techniques. How you doing, buddy? You doing good? You looking good? Okay, we'll feed you a bone soon. Okay, thank you. I love you. Internal techniques are gonna give you long-term, inner, effortless success. Outer techniques are gonna help you along the way to stay loyal and to win. You need both. Sometimes, if you are so inwardly motivated, you don't even need these outward techniques. The outward techniques are very helpful though. But if you only have the outward techniques and not the inward transformation, you're always only going to be hanging on by willpower. Willpower is just a tool. You don't want to constantly be exerting effort against this demon. You want to dissolve the demon and create something new. Jesus said, if you put new wine in old wineskins, it bursts. What is he saying? Exactly what we're talking about. If you just impose external techniques on yourself to change, but you don't change the inside, all you're gonna have is a burst. You're gonna burst. You're gonna burst. He's saying that you have to change the inside. You have to replace, not just remove. You can't just remove this thing from your life. You have to replace it with something else that will give you the same exact benefit that you're going after the porn for. Why are you going after the porn? Because you want to feel high. You want to numb pain. You want to feel ecstasy. You want to feel all that serotonin and dopamine. You want pleasure. So what you got to do, and this is a very profound way to look at it, what you have to do is provide that to yourself in a different, healthy way. If you're thinking, it's impossible, there's no way to get that same thing. Sex is the ultimate thing. How can you have as much pleasure and ecstasy as an orgasm? It's impossible. It's not impossible. There's plenty of ways. It's actually easy to overcome the pleasure that you get from porn if you raise your consciousness. Now that might not even fucking make sense to you. You might not understand what I'm even saying. Imagine how you feel when you felt the most love for a girlfriend, a relative, a friend, for yourself. Imagine how that felt in your heart, in your throat, in your eyes. Tears of joy, tears of love. When you're watching that really heartfelt Christmas movie and it opens your heart and you feel like, oh yeah, that's what life is about. I remember that. You can feel like that almost all the time, every day. That's called raising your consciousness. That's called energy work. How do you get there? So many ways. It's a holistic thing. We're talking about yoga. I'm talking about the real yoga, meditation, things that literally stimulate the energetic centers in your body. Exercising, eating healthy, positive thoughts, doing good works, retaining your seed, reading holy books, reading books that were written by people who are very wise and mature. You start feeling the energy operating differently in you. That's how you change your consciousness. And you'll feel joy in your stomach. You'll feel joy in your heart. You'll feel the feeling of energy in your throat rising to your brain. When you keep yourself in a state of love and courage and compassion and learning and progress. See, this is the real way to move out of those lower energetic centers. You see, when you're only thinking about sex, the energy is in such a low level. Think about it like it's in level 1 or 2. And if 10 is the highest it can go, your energy, your life energy, is stuck in that lower center. We call that the root chakra. Whether or not you believe in this, just use it as a theory to just, for conversation's sake even, just talk about it, to understand it, okay? It makes a lot of sense. So stick with me. When your energy is that low because you're living a low vibration life, i.e. everything we just talked about, bad food, negativity, gossip, everything. You know what I'm talking about. Your energy stays so low, you're going to be driven and you're going to be very tempted by very basic survival animalistic tendencies, i.e. sex, hunger, ego gratification, trying to look cool. So what we want to do is move your energy up by changing your entire lifestyle, by implementing as many tools as we can to rise you up so that you'll effortlessly have self-control. And you won't be as tempted if your energy was stuck in the lower centers at level 1 or 2. So, based on where you are, you'll get a different amount, a different magnitude of help from different changes that you make in your lifestyle. Okay? So just to summarize, we're covering a lot of ground really fast. Just to summarize, number 1, you're so committed. You made that commitment. You're all in. That's number 1. Number 2, you build that vision of what your life will be once you dominate this. That creates this vision, this higher energy, this commitment to yourself for greatness, to reclaim your masculinity, to become the man you know you can be. You visualize that every day. Seriously, you don't understand even yet. This took me 5 years to understand how powerful it is to write it down and to read it to yourself once in the morning, once at night at least, and visualize yourself being that person. It took me literally over 5 years to understand how powerful that is and what's actually happening. If you're listening to this and you're still not convinced to do this, read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's everywhere in self-help. Why? I'll save you the time. I hope you realize how significant this statement is that I'm about to say. You can change your subconscious mind with your imagination. Okay? That's why you write it down and you make a formal routine out of it to look at it twice a day in the morning and night, because it's slowly transforming your self-image with your imagination. Rewind that and listen to it again and again and again every day for a year. Remind yourself of that every day for a year. It's literally that important. Really, meditate on that. Your imagination determines who you are. We won't go into that. Look into my videos on manifestation. Keep on reading self-help. You'll see this everywhere. If you don't believe it now, you'll see this everywhere. We call it visualization. We call it creative imagination. We call it manifestation. It always involves your imagination. And you're always going to get yourself to feel that energetic change when you use that imagination. You have to feel it. It's not just going to be a bullshit like image in your brain. You have to actually feel it. Feel all the emotions. Imagine yourself going through and being that guy, being that person. Once you feel it, all the feelings that you would have in detail, you imagine how you would feel, what you would say. You'll start acting like that more and more. The secret is this is already how you determine your personality, but you did it subconsciously. That's already how you constructed it. So now we're just changing that. So that's step number 2. Use your imagination to change your identity. All right? Number 1, commit. Number 2, create a new identity. The God identity, the winning identity. Number 3, accountability partner. Notice the first 2 were, what were they? Inner game or outer game? They were inner game. Now I'm going to give you some outer game to start off. And it's not like this is the only way to do it. I'm literally just telling you things that help and how I did it. Get an accountability partner. That's number 3. Number 4, I'll give you another outer game. Number 4, change your diet. This is an easy one. And this is not by importance, okay? Number 5 is going to be very important, more important than this one, arguably. But number 4, change your diet. Realize that when you're eating plants and vegetables, you're not going to feel as horny as when you're eating meat. I'm not going to go too deeply into this. If you're eating meat, if you're eating fast food, if you're eating junk food, if you're eating Fried foods, if you're eating things that boost your dopamine and give you that cheap high, what's that doing? You'll feel yourself getting lower and lower consciousness. It's pulling your energy down back to that level 1 or 2. And you'll notice when you overeat and when you eat the wrong foods, i.e. meat and other shit that you know you shouldn't be eating, all kinds of fast food, experiment and just start noticing how lethargic you feel and how tempted you are by porn. It took me a while to notice this, but if you ever overeat or eat a lot of foods that stimulate passion, for example, onions, like Mexican food, think about onions, garlic. That's why in yoga we don't eat onions or garlic. It stimulates passion and it makes you horny. Think about it. After you eat like Mexican food that has a lot of these peppers and spices, spicy food like garlics and onions, you'll start to feel a little bit frisky. You'll start to feel a little bit like ooh la la. Like you'll start to feel sexy. It stimulates your gonads and your testes. So just notice these things. Notice how you feel when you eat different foods, when you eat that meat. So when you're eating the fajitas and the lemons and limes and garlics and onions, notice how that makes you feel versus when you eat a salad, when you eat vegetables, when you have a smoothie, when you have a soup. Notice how you feel. You feel very pure, clean, and light. When you eat some nuts. So start noticing those things and don't overeat. I think that's one of the biggest things. If you eat at night, you're going to feel horny as hell. Another great tip that I started doing was I stopped eating after like 7 or 8. I give my body 3 hours or 4 hours at least to digest the food before I go to sleep. With the exclusion of milk. I drink 3 or 4 cups of milk before bed. And that's the tip of Swami Sivananda in his book Brahmacharya, Practice of Brahmacharya, which is where I got a lot of this information and enlightenment. Enlightenment. I am enlightened. I'm on my way. We're all on our path. Read that book. It's on YouTube. Just YouTube it. Practice of Brahmacharya. It will change your fucking life. It will absolutely change your life. It'll blow your mind. And he has all these practical tips in there. Number 5. This is really, this deserves this whole another video. We're going to wrap this video up with this tip. And the next video is going to be all about this because this is so vital. We touched on it in the previous video. You have to develop thought control. Number 5, develop thought control. This is so key. If you can't control your thoughts, you'll be dominated. So what you have to do is develop conscious awareness of what you're thinking and how to switch that. You have to switch it and replace it, or else it'll just keep on going, rolling, and you'll start, for example, thinking about that girl's butt. You see a butt, okay? And then what happens? You start thinking, oh, that's a nice butt. Oh, what I would do with that butt. And it's all just these lustful automatic thoughts that start flowing because you get triggered, okay? Maybe you never even thought about it like this, but you get triggered. And then all these thoughts start flowing like a waterfall. And it feels like you can't even stop it. It's just like, it just starts like, you start remembering other butts that you had like that. You start imagining and visualizing, and that's your downfall. But you don't even realize that that's what's getting you. And that's why you're going to watch porn today or whenever. So what you have to do is become the guardian of your thoughts. And what you have to do is once you see that thought, you have to understand where it's going to lead. You have to understand that that thought is going to grow into a beast that will bite your head off. Meaning it'll tempt you and control you. You're going to watch porn if you don't cut its head off right then and there. As they say, nip it in the bud. So imagine it like this. You're this badass with a sword. And there's all these thoughts that keep on running through like a valley of your mind. The thoughts that you like, the good guys, you're waiting at the end of that alley, and all the good guys, you can see them coming. You can see them coming. You can easily see them coming. They can't see you. With the good guys, you let them through. All the thoughts that you want, that you know are going to lead you to your goals, you allow them to pass. You allow them to dwell in your kingdom, in your mind. You let yourself think about those things. But when you see one of these bastards coming that's crazy as fuck, and he has all these explosives and he's just running around, boom, 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 and you think, oh, that's a destructive thought. You don't even let him into your mind. He's running through the alleyway. Right when he comes here, ha! You slice his fucking head off before he even gets in there to throw around those grenades and get people fighting, wreaking havoc in your mind, controlling you and taking you down. What does Solomon say in the book of Proverbs? He said, a person who has self-control is stronger than the person who takes over a city. Think about that. The conquest of your mind and self-control makes you more powerful than the warrior, a general, a captain, a king who can overthrow cities. A great read is Thought Power by Swami Sivananda. Really, any self-help book, it's beautiful here, guys. Any self-help book is going to talk about the power of your mind. Any religion is going to talk about the power of your mind. The power of your mind and thought control is where is where everything in your character comes from. Swami Sivananda says, sow a thought, reap an action. Your actions come from your thoughts. Reap an action, sow a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Your thoughts determine your destiny. So you have to also understand what determines your thoughts. The environment that you're in stimulates thoughts. The people that you're with stimulates thoughts. The things that you see stimulates thoughts. You're going to have to start taking control, conscious control over all of these things. Even those three things. If you're hanging out with people who are always talking and thinking lustful things, you're going to get those thoughts. And it's going to be very hard for you. If you keep on going to places where there's women wearing thongs and bikinis and tight pants at the gym, I'm not saying not to do these things. I'm just saying it's going to be very tempting. All those things stimulate lustful thoughts. Even lustful music, it'll get you thinking about these things. But John, you're talking like a religious guy now. You're saying I can't do any of these things? This is getting too much. Fuck this. I'm just telling you what happens. This is not a religious sermon. This is not me saying, these things are wrong. You may not do these things, because lust is bad. And the butts are bad. Thongs are bad, young man. That's not what this is. I'm just telling you, based on where you are, you may or may not be able to control your thoughts around these things. And it's going to overtake you, depending on who you are. If you reach a level of evolution, self-control, and thought control, and mastery, self-mastery, then you can be anywhere and you'll have self-mastery. But if you're in your beginning stages and you can't even go a month without whacking off and losing your self-control, don't be so arrogant that you think that you can subject yourself to any situation and win. No, you're just starting. You have to be careful and protect yourself like you're a young tree who has to gain strength. And then, even then, it's still dangerous, because lust is a very powerful dragon and it can easily seduce you, infiltrate like a ghost. You won't even notice. You probably understand already the power and the stealthiness of lust and how seductive and overwhelming it is. even saints, even great saints, great yogis who have attained amazing powers and followings and respect. There's stories in the book Practice of Brahmacharya of these guys letting themselves get a little bit carried away. This one monk, he allowed one of his female disciples to rub his legs with lotion. He thought that he could maintain his purity. And maybe that thought weaseled his way in. Deep down inside. He still hasn't completely sublimated and eradicated his lust into divinity and love. That she stimulated the sex impulse in him. And they had sex, and he lost all of his prestige, and he never regained it. He fell from grace. He didn't attain his spiritual goal. And of course, this is happening everywhere. Of course, this is happening in marriages. Of course, this is happening in boyfriend-girlfriend relationships. Of course, this is happening at every single level. We get cocky. We think that we can handle any situation. And deep down, we kind of want to get into that little tickled, that little sexy environment, thinking, oh, I'm far above it. I can go to the beach and look at girls with thongs. That little impulse is still there. It just wants to be tickled. Your eyes want to be tickled. You think that you're above it. I'll just take a peek at Instagram. You start looking at butts. And that's what happens. All of a sudden, you watch porn again. And then the negative self-talk, and you think you're a piece of shit, and you lose respect for yourself because you went against your integrity and your own goal. And the cycle continues on and on and on. So do you want to keep on going and fucking yourself, literally fucking yourself? Or do you want to rise above? Do you want to finally take control? Do you want to finally attain what you know you can attain? Do you want to rise spiritually? Do you want to see what you can really do for the world? What you can really do for yourself? Do you want to be transcendent? Or do you just want to be an animal? That's really what it comes down to. If you want to feel what it's like to reach your highest potential, take this seriously. And join me. Join the no-fat movement. Join any movement. Join in prayer and just get so serious between you and yourself and God, however you want to relate to it. Join this movement. You'll feel energy and power. You can do this. I really thought that there was no hope. You don't know how many times I lost. You just don't. You don't know the pain that I had. Maybe you do. Maybe you're feeling it. You don't know the shame and the pain and the hopelessness. Maybe you do. But I want you to have the hope. I want you to feel the power. I want you to join the elevated people who are making it happen, who are seeing the changes, who are feeling the power. I want you to become the master. And you can do it, okay? You can do it. You can do it. God bless you. That you can know the true glory of spiritual elevation, higher consciousness, self-elevation, power to change yourself in the world and be a force of good. May you truly know that and achieve your place as a king, a spiritual master, a peaceful saint and yogi, or just live a better life. God bless you. Next time, we're going to talk about more about thought control. More outer game, okay? A lot of this is inner game. We're gonna talk more about outer game. I'm gonna give you simple tips, more simple tips that you can implement and start fighting this fight immediately, okay? A lot of what I gave you today is an ongoing practice. Think about it. This is not a fight that you just win in a day. You're gonna have to be a strategic motherfucker. Be the badass. Think ahead. Make a lifestyle. Do whatever it takes to win. Rearrange everything in your life to win so that you can taste the glory of what I'm talking about. It's worth it. It's so worth it. It's worth every effort. It's worth any sacrifice. Read that book and it'll tell you, retaining your seed, your virya, your sexual energy is the most precious thing you have. Value it more than rubies. It's all the money, it's all the glory, it's all the knowledge. It's God himself. Think about why in every religion for thousands of years, there's always been a hardcore sect of devotees who are celibate and monks. Think about that. There's a reason. There is a reason. It gives you spiritual elevation. And without celibacy, words of Swami Sivananda, without celibacy, there's no spiritual strength. Think about these things. More to come. God bless you. I love you. Fight the good fight. Continue on. Run the race with endurance like a good soldier. And allow the consciousness that overcomes to be a part of you.